Everyone ignored her, not who's on say. Not just by strangers, but by everyone who passed her like she didn't exist. But what happened next? No one in that room would ever forget. It started on a cold evening, the kind where the wind feels sharper than usual, like it's trying to remind you how alone you are. She sat quietly in the corner of a grand banquet hall, wearing a simple, worn dress that looked completely out of place among the glittering gowns and expensive suits. Her shoes were old, her hands slightly trembling as she held a small cup of water. People walked past her, laughing, talking, celebrating, but never once looking at her. Some noticed her presence, but only to whisper, "Who let her in here? She doesn't belong." Probably someone's mistake. Each word hit harder than the last, but she didn't respond. She didn't defend herself. She just sat there, silently, as if she had already accepted her place in the world. Invisible. What they didn't know was that she hadn't always been like this. There was a time when she had a home, a family, a life filled with warmth. But one tragedy, one cruel twist of fate, took everything away. Her parents were gone. Her home was taken. And slowly, piece by piece, the world stopped seeing her as a person. She became just another face, another shadow, another story no one cared to hear. That night, she didn't come to the banquet for food or attention. She came because she had nowhere else to go. A kind worker at the palace had quietly let her in, thinking at least she would be warm for a few hours. But even warmth felt distant when you were surrounded by people who made you feel like you didn't exist. Time passed. The music grew louder. The laughter became sharper. And still, she sat alone. Until suddenly, everything changed. The doors at the far end of the hall opened. The room fell silent. Every head turned instantly. Because standing there was the king. He walked in slowly, his presence commanding attention without saying a word. Conversations stopped. Laughter faded. Even the music seemed to hold its breath. He greeted a few guests, nodding politely, his sharp eyes observing everything. Everyone. And then he stopped. His gaze shifted across the room, scanning faces until it landed on her, sitting alone, forgotten, ignored. For a brief moment, time felt frozen. People noticed. Whispers began again. Why is he looking over there? There's nothing there. But there was. He started walking. Not toward the wealthy guests, not toward the nobles or the elite, but toward the girl in the corner. With every step he took, the tension in the room grew heavier. People moved aside, confused, curious, some even uncomfortable. He reached her. She didn't notice at first. Why would she? No one ever walked toward her. But when she finally looked up, her eyes widened in shock. Standing in front of her was the king himself. The entire hall watched. Silence, deep and overwhelming. He didn't speak immediately. He simply looked at her, not with judgment, not with pity, but with something she hadn't felt in a very long time. Recognition. Then, in a calm but powerful voice, he said, "Why are you sitting alone?" Her lips trembled. I didn't want to disturb anyone. A murmur spread across the room. The king's expression hardened, slightly gnawed at her. But at everyone else, disturbed, he repeated. "You think your presence is a disturbance?" She lowered her eyes. "That's what it feels like. Everywhere I go, those words hit harder than any noise in the hall." For the first time, people didn't just see her. They heard her. The king turned slowly, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. "Strange," he said, his voice now echoing through the room. How a room full of people can make one person feel completely invisible. No one spoke. No one dared to. He extended his hand. Toward her. Come with me. She hesitated. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't believe it was real. I don't belong here, she whispered. He looked at her from certain. Everyone belongs somewhere, he said, and tonight, you belong right here. Slowly, nervously, she placed her hand in his. And in that moment, everything changed. He led her to the center of the hall. The same people who had ignored her just minutes ago now stepped back, watching in stunned silence. The king turned to the guests. Let this be a reminder, he said, that worth is not measured by appearance, by wealth, or by status. He looked at her again. Sometimes, the most valuable people in the room are the ones no one notices. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Not from sadness, but from something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't unwanted. She wasn't nothing. She was seen, and that changed everything. The music slowly resumed, softer this time, warmer. And as the night continued, something shifted in that room. People spoke differently, looked at each other differently. Because one moment, one simple act, had broken something cold inside them. As for her, that night didn't just give her warmth. It gave her a new beginning. A reminder that no matter how invisible you feel, it only takes one person, one moment, to change your entire story. So if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us what truly matters. And tell me in the comments, have you ever felt invisible? Because your story matters too.